start your business to go to another level. You must try to learn and hear something new. So make the change today. So don't procrastinate and see your business grow and change. So check out Drastic. So yeah, with Toni Harris Taylor. Toni Harris Taylor. Drastic. So oh yeah, with Toni Harris Taylor. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, this is Toni Harris Taylor, and we are back with another fabulous author of Lead Loud Entrepreneurs Building Legacy Through Drastic Leadership. And I love this next guest because her business is all about leadership and legacy. So, welcome, Dr. Dana Carmouche. How are you today?
I'm great, Toni. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I want to jump right into it. In your own words, tell us about your business.
Ooh, next gen middle skill solution. I liken it to a cutting edge entity that is really focused on building the next work ready talent or that pipeline, whoever is going to continue post us being here. Obviously, we know we all have limited time. And so, how do we start preparing this next generation to be able to lead after us, to continue this legacy journey? And so, I'm big on being a legacy builder. I'm a voice activator. I believe in speaking life. My 25 plus years in K-12 and post-secondary institutions gives me a passion for younger people and that preparing them to be able to step into their purpose. I think about had I had some of the tools and access when I was 15, 16, 17, how farther could I have gone and much quicker. I think the time that it took me to learn these lessons could have been collapsed had I had someone standing between the gap or being the bridge builder, what I like to call myself. But more importantly, I think I'm a solutionist. I see the problem and I want to create a space. And that's what Next Gen Middle Skill Solution is about, being the solution to empower people.
So let's talk about the realness of this. We've
Mhm.
got a whole generation of baby boomers getting ready to retire.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, what is the problem that you help businesses to solve with that situation?
Great question. Definitely, we know the baby boomers are retiring, so it's sometimes referred to as the silver tsunami. And so, as they are leaving, if you don't have a succession plan in place as a company or organization or entity, then that means those baby boomers who have amassed knowledge over 40 and 50 years are walking out of your door with that knowledge. Now, AI is here. We know it's speeding up time, if you will, and it's going to be replacing some occupations, but that doesn't replace the human capital and the knowledge that they have acquired and those skills that need to be transferred to the next generation. And so my company comes in to close those gaps for companies. How do I shore up the next generation that's coming in at the same time acquiring the information and the knowledge and the skill sets from the generation that's exiting the workforce, and create a seamless transition for companies or organizations looking to create a talent pipeline.
Okay. So, you've been doing this for over 25 years in the school district.
Mhm.
So, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, and how has this entrepreneurial journey shaped you into being a better leader?
Ah, I think over this time period, I've noticed because I'm confined to an organization, and I happen to be with the largest district in the state of Texas, and so obviously we do everything big in Texas and on a grand scale in this district, no less. However, I'm limited to this scope, and I see the need, and it's a great need, and so because I'm with an organization and an entity, I'm limited of how far my reach can go
Mhm.
and in what capacity that I can engage companies and organizations. And so the entrepreneurship seemed like the right spirit, the right timing for me to be able to say, hey, here I am. I have all of this knowledge. I have the skill sets. I see the problem from a 30,000 foot view. I've been at 3,000 foot view. and I know how to collapse the time or accelerate the process that's required to get the companies what they want, to get the students where they want, to help the community at large. And I saw it as a win-win situation. So the timing was just now, to be able to
Mhm.
launch out and say, I know companies are having issues. I knew this a couple of years ago when I was in grad school and started working on my dissertation. I realized, Houston, we have a problem. And if Houston has a problem, we're not the only ones that have the problem. And that meant that we didn't have enough talent pipeline, if you will. Companies are looking outside of the United States of America for talent because they didn't have enough homegrown talent. And so if we didn't have
Mm.
homegrown talent, that meant we needed to create a solution. Why were we going outside of the US? Did we not have the skilled labor inside the US? And what started happening was when we had this No Child Left Behind, everybody was going to college. But the reality is everybody's not going to college. And what about the students that are not going to college? And data was telling us that at least 50% of those students are not going on to a 4-year institution or even a 2-year institution. So how do we
Yeah.
get ready to enter the workforce? And that's your HVAC, the plumbers, the electricians, and all of these. And if you live in Houston, I don't need you to have a PhD to work on my air conditioning. Can you get it started in this 100-degree weather is all I really want.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right. And so, I'm all about franchising too. And I've been looking at these trades franchises,
Mhm.
which those trades those franchisees need the talent as well. And so we're going to start having more conversations in the franchise space about how do they get this talent through a company like you and what you're doing. But when I look at the franchise disclosure documents, the numbers tell the truth.
Okay.
And HVAC companies
Hmm.
are 5, 6, 7, $10 million companies.
Correct.
Ain't no college degree gonna get you there, okay?
Nope.
It is entrepreneurship and it is trades.
Yes.
But I'm away. The plumbing, same thing. Even house cleaning.
Yes.
It's $2 million companies.
Yes.
So we as parents and,
Mhm.
and leaders and teachers need not poo-poo
Yes.
on trades
Correct.
because they are making the real money. And let's be real, the next generation ain't trying to work for a company for 30 years like our generation and the one before us. So we got to prepare them now to step in. And so I want my franchise listeners to hear this. You need to connect with Dana to get that next gen talent for your franchisees who need to hire. So, okay, well, let's go into leadership. How do you define leadership in your own words? And what does it mean to lead loud?
To lead loud. For me, I believe leadership is influence in motion. So it's not stagnant, it's the movement of it. And so it's when you show up. And how do you lead loud? You consistently show up. I know that's one of your mantras, to show up and expect the drastic results. But it's true. It's the consistency of showing up, and it becomes how you empower others to move forward and to be able to walk into the fullness of who they're called to be. And so I lead loud by just turning up the volume, on purpose. I'm very purpose driven. What's your purpose? And equity is big for me. Do we
Mhm.
create equitable opportunities for everyone, not just for a select few? And so my leadership is my influence in motion. I'm always looking to connect those dots about when it comes to equity, when it comes to transformation, and when it comes to purpose, and how do I honor those requests from these students of what they desire to do, but then at the same time, how do I expose them to things that they had no idea that they could possibly do, and be able to allow them to dream. So my leadership is that kind of leading loud. How can I paint this picture for you, expose you to these opportunities, and allow you to dream, and then provide the transformation or the opportunity or the access that otherwise you may not have? And so that's what I curate here in the district. I create those experiences. I'm able to let students sit in front of decision makers that they
Mhm.
otherwise wouldn't have access to. You could go apply for these jobs, but I'm bringing the people who make those decisions to the table, and I'm sitting you in front of them. So my responsibility now is to prepare this generation to be able to sit in front of these decision makers and make sure that they execute with fidelity. And so the equity is providing the table and setting the table and setting the stage. But my responsibility is to ensure that they are prepared when they get to this opportunity, because you may not have another shot at this opportunity. So I can't allow you to mess this opportunity up, or to mishandle it, or not steward it well, because it's no guarantee that it's coming back around. So, my leading loud is just to turn up the volume.
I love that. Oh, that is awesome. And helping these kids in high school,
Mhm.
and I've had the privilege of talking to them, and I've been impressed. You guys are doing a great job. But here's the other thing: employers don't know that these programs exist, and I know you're going to help with that as well. So tell us about a moment when you had to take a drastic step to grow as a leader, and what did you learn?
Oh, drastic step. Eh, if I had to say, maybe even launching this, because it's easy, Tony, to consistently receive a check every other Wednesday, every other Friday. You kind of get stuck in the rat race of, I know I can do just this much, and I know I'm gonna get paid every 2 weeks. But being able to take a drastic step of launching the consulting business, and relying on that, and being able to coach myself to say I have the skills, so let me just start stepping out of the box and being able to create opportunities that otherwise would not have, if I sit here and wait until I fully retire, as opposed to stepping out and taking a drastic step to be a leader. I'm leadership for me, it's not something necessarily that you're taught.
Mm.
You're born a leader. Now, I may enhance the leadership over time with skill sets and encounters in place, but leadership is already innate in us. And so, how you show up and lead, you can lead in your family, you can be the leader in your household, whatever those things may be. But that's an innate quality in each one of us. And then, how do you begin to foster that even the more? And I think you refine it over time and in situations and circumstances. And this was mine, because I had gotten comfortable with a job and
Mm.
gotten comfortable with someone paying me. And, so I had to learn faith fuel risk. I had to learn that, take some
Mm.
faith moves, and let that fuel the risk, and let there be a deeper yearning. And, even with the consultancy now, and okay, Lord, how do I disrupt my comfort zone
Mm.
and step
Yeah.
out, and trust this process? Trust
Yes.
that you're able to guide and lead me. Trust that this can produce, and it doesn't have to be me making another company wealthy, because they're maximizing the skill sets that I already have. They're maximizing the leadership. It was those opportunities that created this drastic move of, okay, let's launch Dana Carmouche Enterprise. Let's launch Next Gen Middle Skill Solution. Let's launch these and utilize 30 plus years of experience and knowledge. And I'd be lying if I said it's not scary, of
Okay.
letting go of you know, stepping out, moving. Now, in all honesty and transparency for your listeners, I haven't quit yet. So I'm en route to that. It's making those preparation steps. And so I've been blessed to be able to do it on my own terms, if that makes sense, in that regard of, I can exit gracefully and prepare these steps while I'm exiting, building simultaneously.
I agree. And a smart move on your part, right? Let that job be the investor
Mhm.
in your dream, in your business, so that when you step away, it's built and all you got to do is keep it running. So kudos to you, because I know how drastic it was for you and continues to be,
Mhm.
right? So balancing that all is not easy, but I see you doing it and I see you're starting to move and shake and I love it. So what legacy are you intentionally building with this next gen brand?
Mm. If I had to say, I would say generational equity. I remember when I had a conversation with a company, some of you may be familiar, Texas Health and Human Services. It supports all of human services across the state of Texas. When they came to me for partnership, one of the things the then commissioner said was he wanted to eradicate generational poverty. And that stuck with me because he knew the why of why he wanted to come to us to create this partnership that would expose our students to an opportunity for gain to be gainfully employed, come off the welfare system. And you know, for some of these students that came through the program, Tony, this was their first experience and they were making more than their parents.
Wow.
So they were the breadwinner. I'm talking 55,000 coming straight out of high
Wow.
school, with a 7% increase automatically. And his goal was generational poverty, to eradicate it. So taking these students off of the welfare system that their parents had been on and their grandparents had been on, and the recidivism of we're in housing, you keep the housing going, you keep the food stamps going, you keep all of these systems going. In the event that the government decides to shift and remove those, you're not prepared. And so we're in our fourth year of that opportunity. And this is so we've had a graduating, 4 years of graduating and seeing the results of what these students are doing. And so my legacy would have to be one for generational equity, where I look at systems and I redesign them to make sure that those who have been marginalized and overlooked have a seat at the table. And if
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to create the table, let me teach you how to create the table, and let me bring you to the table until you know how to create your own table. And so that's what Next Gen Middle Skill Solution is about. It's about creating legacy and pathways that can shift communities. I'm really big on that sustainability and moving from survival mode to sustainability, Tony. When I look at some of these kids you just never been exposed to it. So all you
Sure.
know is what you see on a day-to-day
Sure.
basis.
Sure.
And so I want them to, I wanted to move beyond them being overlooked to
Awesome.
see.
Well, you are doing that. I love that because let's keep it real. Most of the kids you're working with are from
Mhm,
minorities and lower class, um, and so economic situations. So the legacy is, had it not been for Dr. Dana, I might be continuing that generational curse, right?
mhm. Yes.
And so I love what you're doing. So, how has your leadership impacted your family?
I would say it's redefined what's possible.
Yeah.
And I only have one child. When I look at my daughter, and even my grandson, my oldest grandson, so the one that's getting ready to be 13. So my daughter is an entrepreneur at heart, stopped working and has been an entrepreneur for the last, I would say, 10 years now. Samara's 33. So yeah, so she knew I was pushing for the, academia like me and go get the
Sure.
degree and work the job. And she was like, Mom, that's not for me. And at first, Tony, that was hard for me because I had been conditioned that
Sure.
working was the way. And it's the funny thing about it is my biological father is entrepreneur all his life. My siblings are all entrepreneurs. I'm the only one did the college thing, did the job, and all of this. That was the way. I drank the Kool-Aid thinking that was the
Mhm.
only way. And my daughter was like, nope, not for me. My niece is all entrepreneurs, everybody's successful business. So my daughter has a successful candle boutique as well as a trucking company. And
Wow.
doing that, my grandson has started his own. I mean, he's on his second company at 12. So entrepreneur, he's like, I don't want to work for anybody, Granny. Now I'll go to college if you think. And I was like, okay, well, just think about finance. And if you're going, if anything, think about the economy or anything in economics or AI. If you can do any one of those, then I'd be happy. But if you decide not to, you can be very, very successful here. And so, if anybody, they are my biggest champion. Granny, when you leaving that job and you just gonna go for it, go forth in your business. Okay,
Well,
you have
I'm glad they're in the background pushing you. And your daughter is case in point what we're talking about.
Mhm.
The parents, I feel like I know parents, we want our kids to have better and do better than we did. So we think education is it,
Yeah.
but really having skills,
Mhm.
marketable skills,
Yes.
learning how to sell. You can
Mhm.
learn how to sell, your income is unlimited. and they
Yes.
don't take a degree for that. But I think this is a good place to cut to your story.
Hmm.
And I didn't set you up to tell your story, but you got a story that
Yeah.
I think deserves to be heard. So, which will make you relatable to both the students and the company. So, do you want to give us just a little tidbit of your,
My background.
yeah.
Wow. Um, so for those listening land, TV land, wherever you find yourself listening to this, I grew up what they would consider the wrong side of the tracks, Tony. Um, from the hood, if you will, coming up with gangbangers was a normal day, and drug dealers and things of that nature and illegal activity. And so that's what I was privy to. And that's what I saw, and that's what I gravitated to. And I got involved in that lifestyle early on. Um, Most of the people in my neighborhood were either Bloods. So if you're familiar with true gangs, Crips and Bloods, and so most of the people that I ran with and dealt with were from that particular gang, and just early exposure. Anything you're exposed to over a period of time, everything you see, and it's easy for inner city kids to get sucked up into that because they present this as a familia or a family, and you belong to something, and you're looking for something. And I didn't realize I was looking for that level of affirmation, and the things that I was hungry for, and I didn't have anybody showing me something different. And so when I got involved in that lifestyle, it was a very fast and very influential, if you will, lifestyle. So I was a millionaire in my early 20s.
Mm,
And so in that, how do you tell somebody who's making that kind of money at 21 and 22
mm,
what to do, and didn't see the downside of it? And so this was in the late 80s and early 90s. And so there was a lot of activity going on in illegal activities, and so
mm,
I was sucked into that whole lifestyle. And by the grace of God, I'm still here because my daughter's father ended up doing 10 years in federal pen. And, when the FBI and the DEA came and all of the three-letter people came, they came with a vengeance. And God was so gracious, Tony, that he said, I have
mm,
something more for you. So now you got to go back. And for all of those who look like you, the black and brown kids, and not just the ones that look exactly like me, but the ones that are caught up in a system and are
mm-hmm,
caught up in this lie of thinking that's how we make it out of the hood. That's how we make it out of the ghetto, fast and furious. That's the only way. And I'm a living proof that that's not the only way, because I have 5 degrees, and these are earned
mm,
degrees, and these are not degrees that somebody bestowed upon me.
mm-hmm.
So I went to your University of Houston, and I went to Texas Southern University. I went to Pepperdine. I went to the University of Texas. And so I have these degrees that I have. I have an MBA. I mean, I have a PhD. And so this is a testament to them to know that there's another way to make it out, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be. And here's another thing that I tell people. I can't say the streets taught me some things, Tony,
Sure, of
but
course it
it
did.
taught me how to sell. It taught me about a SWOT analysis before I got into my first marketing class at the University of Houston. I
Yeah.
learned how to market. I learned how to, I'm sorry, I learned how to package. I learned how to supply chain and logistics to move products. All of these skills were acquired hands on. So that's why I'm a big proponent of, when we're talking about the trades, the work based learning opportunity. These are hands on because you make those connections. It,
That's right.
those are skills you can't take from me because I had to do
Correct.
them. They were tangible. And so that
Correct.
these are transferable because now they translate into all that I do here in this career. And so it was a one chance meeting with a gentleman, because when I applied, I was working in oil and gas. And so when I came out of oil and gas, when my daughter's father got arrested, and I was like, okay, Lord, I can't do this anymore. The Lord said, okay, now it's time to come on in. And so I worked in the oil and gas field. And when I got laid off from the oil and gas, I went to financial sector. From there, when there was a merger, then I considered education as a stop gap, if you will. And when I came here, when I applied, they first denied my application.
Mm,
And I was like, I can't get hired at the school system. They said you had a background. I was like, but I
mm, mm,
didn't get a. What are you talking about? And so I appealed it. And I had a meeting with a gentleman. He was the director of human resource at the time. And unbeknownst to me, but God is so faithful, it was the gentleman's last day, Friday. He scheduled
Mm.
his meeting. I was the last meeting of his last day before
Wow.
he was leaving, resigning, quitting. I don't know which one it
Oh,
was. Whatever it was, I had that meeting with him that day. He overturned the decision, hired me, and when I came, once I got the confirmation that following week, I came back up to tell him thank him so much. They were like,
he's gone.
gone. I was like,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
And so, you know, those kinds of moments, and that's how I know that God intended for me to come this path for this period of time, long enough to be able to touch as many lives as I possibly could, which I have been blessed to do, the thousands and thousands that I have over these years, to be able to reach some who were gangbangers and pull them out. Because when I first started teaching, I was at Wisdom High School, which was the old
Mm-hmm.
Lee High School, and it was very gang affiliated, and we had a lot of Crips and Bloods and Cholos and
Mm.
MS-13s were coming in. So it was heavy gang affiliated that we used to have the police department come out and do trainings for teachers so that they would know the colors, and when they're flying their
Oh,
flags and when they're
wow.
stacking, that was part of
Wow.
our training for new teacher orientations,
Wow.
that heavy in gang affiliation. And so I was able to speak a language that most teachers could not
But
speak,
not. Mm-hmm.
that they could understand quickly and knew, okay, she's not bluffing, she knows what she's talking about. And that gave me enough respect to keep some of the gang wars that was going on other campuses away from ours, or that I could alert those that I needed to ahead of time. Okay, he just stacked, it's gonna go down, y'all need to handle this or this. And so it's not all in vain.
Yeah. Oh,
And
no.
yeah, and the conversations I have are different. And it was fun. You know, I just was, like I mentioned to you earlier, I was at Alcorn State a couple of weeks ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
had 40 students that I was doing a training for, at Alcorn State. And it was at the moment when I told them my story, and look at
Mm.
me now.
Mm.
There, you could see the light bulb come on,
Mm.
Toni, and say, oh, if she can do it, now I have a representation. Now I have somebody that I can look to
Correct.
say, oh, I can do this. I can make it out of this. I'm not the sum total of where I grew up, the side of the tracks I was born on, or what wasn't given to me. I can tell them, yeah, I know what it's like to boil water, to take a bath. I know what all of that is like. Let me tell you the stories.
So, so let's talk about, first of all, excellent. Thank you for sharing your stories. Talk about an angel who stepped in
Mm-hmm.
to and made a big difference. That's amazing. But tell me about a time when you wanted to give up and what
Mm.
kept you going.
So many times. How many times have I tried to quit this job? Um, and each time I was ready to quit, Tony was like, God, I can go make, look, I can go back to corporate. I mean, I have legitimate degrees. I can go make some money somewhere else. Oil and gas pays really, really well. Uh, and it would always be a student. Somebody came that said, Miss, I remember this one student who came, and that day I had it. My resignation was printed. I had just signed it. I was going to walk in there and telling people where to go and how to get there. And the student came up with tears in her eyes and said, I just wanted to come back and say thank you. It was one of my Muslim students. And she said, and for those who may not know, and I don't mean to be offensive, I'm a Christian. So, and when she came into my classroom, I told her that. I said, you know, I'm a Christian. And she said, I know that, Miss Carmouche, I'm desperate. And she was, you know, when I met her in the situation she was going through, that I was able to walk her through that situation, help her to get to a place. And when she came back that day, she was stopping by to visit, because at this time she had been graduated and was on
Okay.
finishing college.
Okay.
So by
Okay.
that time, she was graduating from the University of Houston, and it was a situation with her dad, and the rearing of how the custom is and what the dad
Sure.
wanted to do, and how I navigated that so delicately to help the dad really, you know, take the reins off just enough that she could go and blossom. Such a smart, beautiful young girl, and she came back that day just to say, "Hey, thank you, because of you, I didn't kill myself."
Mm.
Only so many of the students that I've had that have come to say, you know, my uncle is hiding under the bed, and My grandmother doesn't believe that this is going on. And I'm tired because I was like, why y'all was tired in my class? And she was like, I have to stay up all night because I got to make sure my uncle doesn't rape me. He just gotten home from prison and he hides under my bed with a knife, and my grandmother doesn't believe me. And,
Oh my
having to step
gosh.
in and navigate those terrains
Oh
and
my
help
gosh.
help do what needs to be done to make sure that they stay safe and sane. And the times you buy clothes and those students come back and say, Miss Carmouche, thank you. One
Mm,
is in the military and an officer in the military, and he didn't have the tent. Mom left them, and they were in the house by themselves and didn't have food. Mom moved on with her boyfriend and told them they could figure it out. It was his senior year, and his sister was a junior. The groceries we would buy, and I would get with other teachers and say, "Hey, can y'all just donate $20? I'll go buy the groceries, and I'll pay for his haircut, so he doesn't get into fights because they're teasing him because I'll wash the clothes." So that those just little things. If I had to bring soap from my house, like, hey, y'all tell me when you're low on this, this, and this. We have
wow.
resources to pay for your lights and keep the rent. The
Wow.
mama paid the rent for a year, figured that they would be graduating by the end. And those students come back, or now getting PhDs. And it's at those moments that I want to quit and give up. Somebody who God has allowed me to be a solution for comes back to say,
Yeah.
hey, if it had not been for your voice, if it had not been for what you provided, I wouldn't have made it out. I would have given up by now. I would have killed myself already.
Yeah.
It's those moments.
So you clearly love what you do, and the legacy you're leaving is amazing. But I know you've
Mm-hmm.
gone through a lot of rejection,
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
even giving all that you have done. So what's the best leadership lesson you've learned from rejection?
Ooh, rejection is simply redirection. Tony, sometimes there are those disguises of closed doors that you don't realize that was the best thing that could have ever happened to you, is that door closed and you never walked through it. Sometimes walking through those doors never allow us to realize our full potential because we would stay stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what we consider to be failure is just feedback. It's just dressed up as an opportunity. That's all.
Yeah.
For me to dare to dream, for me to keep on believing, for me to keep on hoping. And so I just consider it redirection. And it was funny you mentioned that because I was thanking God earlier to say, hey, I'm so grateful that you didn't allow me to get what I was seeking, because I would have gotten comfortable in that
Correct.
and I would never pursue
Correct.
the fullness
Correct.
of who I am.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So sometimes that
Mhm.
rejection is a redirection. I love that.
Mhm.
And it works out for your good, but you can't see it in that
Mhm.
moment. And
Yep.
it's painful. It is
Mhm.
painful.
Yes, it is.
So I'm glad that you see that you would not be here talking to me had that not ever happened.
Correct.
So, what advice would you give someone who's playing small in their leadership?
Oh, I need you to take a leap of faith in this. If you've been playing small, time is the one thing we don't get any more of.
Correct.
We're not getting any more time. And so now is the time for you to move forward in the purpose and the plan for your life. If I had to inspire you, I would tell you to fly, jump
Mm,
off, because you
mm,
don't know the wingspan until you jump off. You don't know what you're capable of. You don't even realize the full capacity until you start moving in the thing. When you start moving in the direction of purpose, purpose starts moving faster. It expedites time. But if you never move, then
yeah,
purpose will never come. You have to at least start. Just
correct.
start. Take one step toward that. If it's just, can you start with the LLC? Can you start with wherever you need to start? Start having the conversation. Go to your first networking. Go wherever that is. I just need you to start. If you
Yeah,
start today, watch and see what the end of this fiscal year will look like. I just need you to be in motion. Just start the
that's
motion.
it. That's it. Just start. Take one step. And that leads me into the next question, and that is how has being a part of the Drastic Results and Network and Action community
Mm-hmm.
help you lead louder? and help you build faster?
Accountability.
Yeah.
And so this community, everybody needs a community. Let me say that really, really well. Without the right community, it's like a flower. It has to be planted in the right soil to blossom and to flourish. And so I encourage everybody to always find their tribe, find the voice that speaks to the dream that's on the inside of you, that can ignite that dream and cause it the baby inside of you to leap. Because every business opportunity that you have, or every one of those um, entrepreneurial endeavors, is, think of it like a baby, and so you need a Mary and an Elizabeth kind of relationship, or someone that causes that
Mhm.
thing inside of you, that dream that's been fortified, to leap again, and to with excitement and possibilities. And that's what this community is for me, of what's possible and how you can make connections and, build off of each other, and learning that there is a community out there that is concerned about your progress and how can I help you win. And so I
Yes.
always love that about you. Your first question is, what are you working on and how can I help you? Not about how can I make money, not about what opportunity can you open for me. Tell me what you have going on and tell me how I can help.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, we're down to our last question.
Okay.
All right. It is, at your funeral, what do you
Hmm.
want people to remember about you and the work you've done?
Wow. Um, I would say, Tony, that I led loud, that I took my pain over these years of my lifetime and that I turned it into purpose, that I
Mm.
had ideas and I moved on them, that I created systems that bridged the gap for those who came behind me, those that were least likely, the lost, and that I made space for everybody else to win, for others, not everybody, because everybody's not called to me, but that I made space for others to win.
Yeah.
And if I've done that, then the light continues beyond me. That meant that I built people, that I didn't just build systems, but that I built people. And as I build people, they will be a representation to continue on. And if I've done it well, then they will build people in turn.
Awesome. I love it. Well, tell everybody how to get in touch with you.
They can reach me. I'm Dr. Dana Carmouche, so you can reach me at info@danacarmouche.com. That's info at Dana, Dana Carmouche, Carmouche.com. You can check out my website at NextGen, NEXGen work, or ngmss.com is the quickest way. So it's NextGen Workforce Solutions. You can go there and reach out to me at any time. Feel free to, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, so you can follow me, Dana Carmouche, Dr. Dana Carmouche. I'm there on all those platforms as well.
So she would be an excellent podcast guest, an excellent speaker, and of course, a consultant to help you fill that next generation middle skills gap. Thank you so much, Dana, for your time and your wisdom. And I am just looking forward to seeing where all these people, how they're going to fly because you came into their life.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you having me and creating this space for my voice to be heard and to continue for others' voices to be heard. If y'all haven't connected with Tony, you need to. If you're looking for drastic results, get with Miss Toni Harris. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Toni Harris Taylor saying take a drastic step today for a fantastic tomorrow. And we'll see you with our next author.